Hi friends, this is the reading lesson for third grade. You need your booklets open to page 12 and a pencil and a highlighter. We are going to read the story today called Jack and the Beanstalk. This fairy tale has been around for quite some time. I remember reading it when I was a little girl. We're going to read through it and we are going to highlight some different key events and discuss how the characters reacted to these big key events. And then at the very end, we are going to summarize what happened in the story. We are going to read half of the story today and the next half tomorrow. So let's get started if you're ready.
Extended Read 1. Remember to annotate as you read.
Jack and the Beanstalk by the Brothers Grimm. Once upon a time there lived a poor widow who had an only son named Jack. Times were hard. Most of their furniture had been sold to buy bread. Now they had only their cow to sell. She gave milk every morning, but one sad day the cow gave no milk. "We must sell the cow. Trust me to make a good bargain," Jack said. On his way to market, Jack met a butcher. The butcher was a friendly type and asked Jack what his business was. Jack told him that he was off to sell their cow. The butcher smiled and said he would make a great bargain with Jack. The butcher quickly pulled out 5 curious-looking beans. He told a curious Jack that the beans were the most wondrous beans in the whole world. He said, "If you plant them overnight, by the next morning they'll grow up and reach the sky. I will trade them for that cow of yours." "Done," cried Jack, who was so delighted with the bargain that he ran all the way home to tell his mother how lucky he had been. His mother, however, was very disappointed and so angry she threw the beans out of the window into the garden and sent poor Jack to bed without any supper. When he woke up the next morning, the room was almost dark. Running to the window, Jack saw the sun was shining brightly. But beside his window there was a giant beanstalk that stretched up and up as far as he could see into the sky. He went outside to get a better look.
All right, so big major event happened here. What does Jack do? He sells the cow for what? Did you say some magic beans? Yes, so Jack sells the cow for these magic beans, right? So that would be story event number 1, technically. So what do we have to say? What can we highlight about Jack selling his mother's cow for magic beans? So Jack ends up being very curious about these beans, right? So we know that Jack is curious and he's pretty delighted with this bargain, right? So maybe highlight in paragraph 5, delighted with the bargain, because they're like trading, right? So Jack is going to trade the cow for these 5 beans, these magic beans. And Jack trusts the butcher. It says he was a friendly type, like a friendly person. Okay. And he said he would make a great bargain with Jack, right? So Jack's like, what could go wrong? So Jack sells the cow and he gets home. And is his mother happy? Oh no, she's not. He was supposed to sell that cow to get some food and some milk, and he didn't. So his mother was very disappointed and so angry that she threw the beans out of the window into the garden and sent Jack to bed without any supper. Oh my goodness. Then Jack wakes up the next morning and he goes outside to get a better look because it's so dark because the beanstalk is blocking his room, his window, the sun. Let's see what happens next. Go ahead and turn the page.
I'll just see where it leads to, thought Jack. So he stepped out of the window onto the beanstalk and climbed up and up. Finally reaching the top, Jack found himself in a new and beautiful country. He saw a great castle with a broad road leading to the front gate.
All right, so obviously our next key event is that Jack climbs the beanstalk, right? He climbs the beanstalk and he sees a castle. So let's see what happens next.
As Jack drew near to the huge castle, he saw a giant's wife standing at the door. "If you please, ma'am," said he, "would you kindly give me some breakfast? I have had nothing to eat since yesterday." Now, the giant's wife, although very big and very ugly, had a kind heart. So she said, "Very well, little man, come in. You must be quick about it, for if my husband, the giant, finds you here, he will eat you up, bones and all." The giant's wife gave him a good breakfast, but before Jack had half finished it, there came a terrible knock at the front door. It seemed to shake even the thick walls of the castle. "That is my husband," said the giantess, in a terrible fright. "We must hide you." She lifted Jack up and popped him into the empty kettle. No sooner had the giant's wife opened the door than her husband roared out, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. Where is the boy?" he continued. "I'll have him for my breakfast." "Nonsense," said his wife. "It's the ox I am making for your dinner that you smell."
All right. Oh my goodness. So much has happened, right? Okay, so it says, so we know Jack climbed the beanstalk, and when he got up there, he was so curious, right? And so we should probably start by highlighting that Jack says, "I'll just see where it leads to," because he's going to climb the beanstalk, right? And he climbs to the top and he sees that there's that huge castle and the wife is standing at the door. Okay. And he says, "Can I have some breakfast, please?" And it says, now the giant's wife, she had a kind heart. So Jack's like, cool, she's going to let me in. So she lets him come in and she serves him breakfast. So far, Jack's living the good life, right? And then the giant gets home, and the wife is afraid that the giant is going to do something to Jack, right? So she says, "We must hide you." So they hide. So Jack hides, and then the giant gets home and he says, "Fee, fi, fo, fum," because he knows somebody is in his house. He says, "Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." So the giant, not super happy that someone is in his house. And the wife said, "Oh, no, no, no. This is just something I'm making you for dinner." So the wife stands up for Jack, right? Okay, let's see what happens next.
So the giant sat down and ate the whole ox. When he had finished, he said, "Wife, bring me my money bags." So his wife brought him 2 full bags of gold, and the giant began to count his money. But he was so sleepy that his head began to nod. Then he began to snore like the rumbling of thunder. Jack crept out of his hiding spot and snatched up the 2 bags. The giant's dog barked loudly, but Jack made his way down the beanstalk before the giant awoke.
All right, friends, we are going to stop reading there. So much just happened, right? So the giant's like, okay, I'm going to count my money because that's what I love to do, counting my gold. But he was so tired that he fell asleep. Then what happened? What did Jack do? It says Jack crept out of his hiding spot and snatched up 2 bags. So now Jack steals the giant's gold. Oh my goodness. Can't wait to see what happens next. All right, let's go ahead, put your highlighters down, and we're going to write a little summary on page 16. So start by writing the word summary. And so we're going to use those 2 main events just to write our summary. Okay. So we learned that Jack sells his mother's cow for magic beans. We also learned that Jack was super curious about the beans, right? But his mother was very upset with Jack. So then those magic beans turn into a giant beanstalk, and the beanstalk leads Jack to the giant's castle. So overnight, the beans grew into a beanstalk, into a tall beanstalk. Jack climbed the beanstalk and finds the giant's castle. And then finally it ended with Jack steals the giant's gold. Oh no, what's going to happen next? I don't know, but you will have to wait and see until tomorrow. All right, if you make sure you write down that whole entire summary, and then we will see what happens next. Great job today, friends. We'll see you later.